there's probably a hole in the tire somewhere, a really, really small one, in which case I would just take a little water bottle, just a regular drinking water bottle,
Yeah.
put a little bit of dish soap in it, shake it up really good, get it nice and foamy and bubbly,
Yeah.
and then pour it onto the tire. And anywhere you see bubbles forming is an air leak.
Yeah. Watch it be. I mean, and we're live, by the way, because it's 7 o'clock. But anyway, I wanted to keep going on this. That tire, the left rear on the truck, had a flat tire on it before.
Yeah.
And the rim got bent. But it got unbent. They redid it. They didn't give me any rim. Because I didn't do it. My father did it. And he's no longer with us anymore, so I can't blame him there. But so I'm like, I want to get rid of this thing. I just want to get rid of it because I want another vehicle. So it's like, so anyway, enough about that because we don't want to go any further because then I'll probably say something that I probably shouldn't say on air. But anyway.
Yeah.
So this is Polygon, except we were talking about tires.
Tire gone.
So tire gone. There'll be people using a lot of tires probably this week, given what's going to probably be happening tomorrow and then later or early next week. It's going to be a lot of tires.
Yeah.
There might be a lot of tires flying into the air too. If something.
A lot of rubber meeting the road with chasers.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Did you see Dick McGowan's little, I won't say rant, but his little write-up that he did on, I think it was Facebook, either Facebook or Twitter?
I'm not sure what it was on, but I can look at it.
He made a nice little thing about the upcoming Tuesday event, and he kind of did a cool thing. He basically laid out what was forecasted to happen, his little opinion. Not little, but, he added his thought, his feel to it.
Yeah.
And then he said, if you don't have any experience chasing or spotting, don't do it Tuesday. There's going to be enough people out there. There's enough big severe weather possible that you could wind up being a hindrance and hurting yourself or somebody else, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah. I would mention, because in our case, for those that probably won't know, that we do have storm chasers that work for the network, and they chase outside the state. They can do whatever they want because we're et cetera, whatever. I heard them talk about Tuesday's event. They're probably going to be chasing tomorrow because Sunday, Western Iowa, there's a slight risk. Why not? Sunday, go out there.
Yeah.
But Tuesday, they were even kind of not even wanting to go. Tuesday, it's probably going to be a moderate risk day, if not maybe the first high risk this year. Don't know. But they're contemplating that they're not even going to chance going down there because it is going to be overloaded with too many people that they don't want to get themselves trapped to a certain extent that they can't get themselves out of a possible bad situation. I just almost feel, from what I can see from Tuesday, and I think Dick McGowan makes a perfect point, that I don't think we want to see a repeat of El Reno again.
Yeah,
It might be Tuesday might be an El Reno type event, maybe more toward a certain event. And I mentioned this on Twitter. Tuesday is April 26th. Okay.
Yep.
25 years ago on that day was Andover.
Yep.
There was, and that was which is April 26, 1991, for those that don't know. That was Andover. That was I'll just use the old Fujita scale since they were using that. There was an F5 tornado kill. It went through a mobile home park and killed.
The Golden Spur Mobile Home Park.
Very good. It killed lots of people. Anyway, what is also known is there was a very violent tornado in Oklahoma, northern Oklahoma, that went, what was it, like I think 70 or 80 miles. And it was a wedge tornado, and Tim Marshall was on it. I remember there's a bunch of people on that. It's known as the Red Rock tornado, for those that don't know.
That was up until, correct me if I'm wrong, the Red Rock tornado was the second strongest tornado in terms of wind speed ever recorded.
I believe maybe. Because I think that was an F5 tornado too, but it went over
the
areas.
Oh, yeah. Dr. Howie Bluestein had his then experimental portable Doppler radar, and it was a Doppler radar that sat on a beefed up camera tripod.
Yeah.
He measured winds of 286 miles per hour. I can't remember at what altitude, what level, what pressure altitude he measured that at. It's been so long since I've read that paper, but at that time it was the strongest wind speed ever recorded on the face of the earth.
Until the Moore tornado in '99.
Correct.
So, I mean, we're talking about everybody's on about April 27th. The 5-year anniversary is coming up this year of April 27th, 2011, but the 25-year anniversary of Andover is on Tuesday. And what else is the 25th anniversary of on Tuesday?
Good question.
What is considered, and I mentioned this on Twitter, the worst video ever done in terms of what do you do when you're on a road and a tornado is coming at you?
Oh,
I know. Let's go under a bridge.
The underpass video.
That was the same day as Andover. In fact, it was the same thunderstorm as Andover. It was the tornado that formed after Andover. After the Andover tornado dissipated, the tornado in question formed near El Dorado Lake and moved northeast along the Kansas Turnpike.
Yep.
I have been to that exact overpass on the Turnpike in Kansas. And that video got everybody's attention that, oh, we need to go under bridges. We'll survive. How many people have been killed doing that? Lots. All because of us. And now this is where I get cranky. A stupid video from a TV station in Wichita that's like, look at us. We're saving lives. No, you're not. You've killed more lives than you've saved. And there are people that still think that video is like the word. It's like, that's what you do to save lives, go under a bridge. And it's not like they weren't doing it before. I go back to, and I'm going to be going off again, the Wichita Falls Terrible Tuesday video that I went off on a rant about a couple of months ago. I did a video on that where I made fun.
Is that the one in 1979?
Yes, that's Wichita Falls, 79.
Okay.
Where you have a guy, he's like, I got my car, and I'm sorry for those that I'm making fun of this video, but it's funny in hindsight, although people died, but I'm not making fun of the people that died because they're not, yeah. And he's like, I got my car, and I was like, I can't outrun it, so I'm going to get under this overpass. This was in 1979, so this was 12 years before Andover. So people were still getting the idea, oh, let's get under an overpass and we'll survive.
I thought of the wedge shape underneath the overpass
as a possible source of protection. Yeah, you got it right. You know that video.
You know you're weather nerds when you can recite random weather
as a possible source of protection.
Word for word.
And he had parked his car underneath the overpass or underpass. And where was his car? Down a quarter of a mile away. Down the road, crumpled. And that's how you survive.
You know what? I've looked at the April 26th video really, really, really closely.
Yeah.
And I'm sure other people have. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that have the same hypothesis that I do. But there's one or 2 second snippet of the video where you can't see the funnel itself, but you can see the very outside of the funnel where the clouds are just about to condense. Like they're just that one little, like 1/10 of a millibar away from condensing. It looks like a little white mist, like windblown rain, but you can tell it's a tornado because it's spinning. I kind of followed that and tracked it, and that that part of the vortex didn't go right over their heads.
Yeah, and if you
The
watch, and you watch Skip Talbot's video, you know what that is.
the ghost train.
Train.
Well, actually, I don't even
It's
think it's the
similar. It
ghost train.
sounds like it.
I don't
Might
even
be an
think it's the
info
ghost
jet.
train. I just think it's just the very outside of the funnel, because that tornado and even the the Andover tornado they're very intense but very small. They were small.
Regardless to the fact that the Andover tornado was smaller than most other F5s that have
Yeah.
existed. It was what I would consider a stovepipe tornado. It was kind of like a wet. Well, anybody in Oklahoma says anything that's tinier than a needlepoint's a wedge tornado. But anyway, I'm being snarky. But it was, yeah, I'll agree with you. The Andover was smaller in scale compared to, let's say, like Heston or Moore, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah.
But what I was alluding to, I don't even think that part that I'm mentioning is even the ghost train, because you can see, if you back up the video just a second or two before, you can see a Ford Aerostar van get twisted around in a circle.
Yep, and I was on the side of the road down the road a little bit. You can see the van getting
about 300 meters,
getting swept into the ditch.
It's about 300 meters from where the camera is at, and you can see that van make a complete circle in the space of about 3.5 lanes. In other words, those 2 lanes that vehicle was on, plus I'd say another half to maybe 1 more lanes worth of width on the shoulder. It makes that complete circle, rolling as it's doing it. And that tells me it's a very, very small tornado. Now, inside the actual vortex, what the Ford Aerostar experienced was violent. I would reckon that to be at least F3, just based on that little snippet of video alone. But if you follow it along as it's approaching them, it's not following the road directly. It's moving not only toward them but to their left just a little bit.
Yeah, it wasn't.
That's what saved
kind
their
of
lives.
Slightly moving off the road.
I think that's what saved their lives, was because the most intense part of the vortex actually passed just a little bit to their left of the top of their heads. Had that vortex passed directly over them, that video wouldn't exist. That camera would have been lofted and it would have been destroyed, along with the people with it, I assume.
Yeah. I tried to get this video to get on here, but yep, my computer's deciding to be bitchy today because my Kaspersky is deciding it wants to do a scan. It doesn't know Polygon is on, because if my Kaspersky is running stuff, I'm lucky if I'm using my Hangouts. If Hangouts are working, it's still saying it's live, so I'm not even going to chance it for right now. So
it says we're live on my end.
Yeah, I'm not going to chance, because YouTube decided, let's change the video software. So they've changed everything on YouTube again. And typically when they do, it screws up for the next month. So, like, oh, it's not broken. Let's break it some more. Because we haven't broken enough things, evidently, at Google. Anyway.
Trying to break the internet. Ha, ha, ha.
Wah, wah. Anyway, so we are talking about every anniversary, because those anniversaries, I'm sure there's probably an anniversary of some tornado somewhere today or tomorrow or every other day. So, but I know that we have the 25-year anniversary Tuesday, the 5-year anniversary Wednesday. Then you have Tupelo, the 2-year anniversary of Tupelo.
Correct.
Thursday. And so, I mean, you could pretty much say every day from like April 1st all the way till June 1st, or maybe even further into June, there was it's an anniversary of something. It may not have been a tornado outbreak, but a tornado of some significance.
Yep.
Somewhere. So,
Yep.
I mean, it's that time of the year.
It's spring. Time for the storms.
Yeah.
I just wish they were closer to home because for a little bit, I seriously considered taking work off and going and chasing Tuesday.
Yeah, but what about Wednesday? When the risk area is here.
I'll probably be working, and I can't take that much time off because I am about to go on vacation here in about 19 days and a wake up.
Yeah. Oh, well.
We might be able to have our very first international Polygon episode.
Uh-oh.
Because if there's an internet connection, I might try and get on from Cozumel, Mexico.
Uh-oh, that might be trouble. Might be causing trouble. International episodes, except it would not be the first one. So anyway.
Oh, it won't?
No. We've had 3.
The UK Met Office, right?
Well, yeah. Well, Nick Miller was actually, and he works for the Met Office, but he also works for the BBC, and that's where he was.
Oh, okay,
At
okay.
BBC in London. And then we had David Spence up in Calgary. And then we had Dr. Tony Lupo when he was actually in Russia. And he did it live from Russia.
I stand corrected.
And that's 3 episodes. So, yeah, you wouldn't be the first. Anyway, back to excitement.
Well, my first international episode.
Well, sure. Anyway.
And the times will work out good because Cozumel is still in the same time zone.
Okay. No, my stupid Kaspersky is still deciding it wants to scan. Oh, why does it love to do? Okay, I'm gonna have to rant on this. I hate Kaspersky. Why does it have to do scans? Oh my god! And then it says this will make your computer better. And all it does is if Kaspersky is running, don't expect to work on it or do anything because it won't. Everything decides to stop and take a break because you can't do anything. Oh, anyway,
that's why nothing gets infected with Kaspersky because it just shuts everything down.
Well, it's. I've had everything. I've had McAfee. I've had Norton. I think antivirus is just stuff for viruses to come and infect your computer anyway. Anyhow, back to the excitement of weather. So we're going to have severe weather. Pretty much it's going to be like starting late tonight, but probably more Sunday tomorrow, since we're doing this on Saturday the 23rd. So we're talking Sunday the 24th. There might be some stuff, probably not very exciting. Monday, probably not anything of any concern. Then Tuesday looks to be the big enchilada.
Speaking of the big enchilada, I have a question. And this is a spring chicken type question.
Oh, goody.
I'm sure you've looked at all the models and stuff in fairly decent detail. I have not because I've been averaging 13-hour days at work all week this week.
I've looked at very little model data of late, so I'm
really
having fun. And right now I can't look at anything because Kaspersky is deciding to still scan. So, but I'll try. So
I'll give it a shot. We have this big event coming Tuesday, and apparently the models are suggesting a pretty significant day. I have not been able to look at hardly any model data ever since these forecasts started to really come out. What was it, Wednesday? This last Wednesday when
it was Thursday.
Oh, Thursday. Okay.
I think Thursday.
What is the thing that you think is setting this apart meteorologically? Like in the checklist of severe weather parameters, what looks to be, I guess, the impressive thing or things?
Well, what I noticed this when I was doing the model stuff, when I was doing my weather reports earlier this past week, that it's looking like that for the first time probably this spring, we're finally going to start getting an active pattern across most of the plains and into the Midwest.
So a four corners trough.
Yeah, well, to a certain extent, because Sunday tomorrow looks to be like a preview, and then Tuesday a stronger system comes in, so that's the Tuesday, Wednesday, and then I noticed that there what looks to be probably another similar setup to Sunday tomorrow will set up the following Sunday, which is May 1st. So we could be looking, and then after that, I think it quiets down a little bit.
Okay.
But then I haven't looked at models in the last 24 hours. So my May 1st, I think, is still there, or it's somewhere around there. April 30th, May 1st, somewhere in there. So we could be looking at quite a bit of severe weather in the next week to 8-9 days. It tends to, in this type of pattern, from what I can remember, there's been several times when we've had these where you just have just like a really active period, like an active week to 8, 9, 10 days, and then it quiets down for 2 weeks. It did this, I think, in 05 or 03. I can't remember which, because one of them, there was just like, there was like severe weather, like every day, 4 days. It's like annoying. I don't think it's going to be that bad, but it's, I think, getting to the time when stuff's finally, you're getting the stuff, it swings in, you get the negative trough, you get the Gulf of Mexico swinging it, Gulf of Mexico moisture, I'll get out. Temperatures zoom up into the 70s, you get the spinning and Cape values shoot up. I mean, I saw Cape values for the first time on some of the models that I was looking at when I was looking at stuff, that I'm seeing Cape values above roughly 2,000 for the first time here this year. And
Really?
we've already had tornadoes in Iowa this year, those ones near the Quad Cities.
Yep.
And the Cape values during that event were nothing compared to what I'm seeing in the coming days.
Well, that was one of those high shear locations.
And this is going to be, it's not going to be as highly sheared. There will be some, enough that there could be tornadoes. Even on Sunday, there could be some. But I'm not expecting like long track stuff. I think Tuesday could be that. Violent tornadoes, probably Oklahoma, southern Kansas. I would go so far as to say if anybody's going to chase on Tuesday, I would probably target Oklahoma City, maybe between there and Tulsa on the Turner Turnpike. Somewhere along old 66, because I've driven on 66 between Oklahoma City and Tulsa. I love that road. Oh, that was so cool. And I didn't want to pave the turnpike. So anyway, but that was cool because we had time. Anyway, back to that the bad weather. When the thing that really is getting all the chasers all huffy is they put up a 30% risk on day, I think at that time it was on day 6. When they're putting a 30% at day 6, that means you can automatically put down that it's a moderate risk already. And that would be level 4.
Yep.
That's your marginal, slight, enhanced, moderate. So you're looking at moderate already on day 6. Now,
but there's a caveat to that, because I've seen 30 sig days, where they have, the black hatches on the SPC outlooks, 5 days out, but they go away the next day.
Well, that's why I'm everybody's looking at it, and it was still there. Right now it's on day 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and it's still there. The 30% is still there. And day 5, we're at 15% here, which I immediately think if there's a 15% at day 4 and 5, that's at least enhanced already. Not slight, enhanced.
Correct.
At least. 30 indicates moderate. Not high, moderate. But if they put up moderate on day 3, which will be tonight, when it comes out later tonight, that means if it's moderate on day 3, then it will be a high risk. Possibly. A very good 50-50 chance that moderate's going to get bumped to high. And the minute you get high risk, it's almost like from moderate risk, you get X amount of chasers. High risk, you could put a little 2 on the upper portion of that X because you'll get twice as many. It'll be X squared, if not X cubed.
I'll take the cubed. That's more reasonable.
Yeah, instead of, let's say, 9, you'll get 243. 9 cubed. No, well, not well. Wait a minute. 9, 10, 9, 10, 9. Oh, it's 729. Sorry, yeah, you'll go from like 9 to 729, something like that. But then when you're talking about hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, but you know what I'm getting at. You're going to get way more people if it goes from moderate to high. I mean, you're going to get the crazy people. You're going to get the local people who are like, there's a tornado coming. I want to take pictures and put them on TV. Sorry for those people who have accents like that. I'm just making a point.
Sorry, Steve Nail.
Yeah, no, well.
Our guest last week.
Yeah, but okay, you had to get me on this. When we had Steve on, it sounded like I was talking to every single person in the state of Oklahoma. It sounded like all the KWTV people. It sounded like both Castor brothers. He sounded like everybody in Oklahoma and North Texas. And God bless him, I just love the accent because it sounds so cool. Anyway.
Well, he is from Wichita Falls.
Well, was he around?
Wichita Falls.
Well, then
he was not around for the '79 tornado.
Well, no, because he's younger than I assume he's the same age as me.
He's my age, yeah. He's my age.
Yeah, so his likely his parents were around for Wichita Falls if they were there at the time. But anyway, back to this. Yes,
they were.
Anyhow, back to this. So, and I've lost track. Thanks a lot. Anyway,
chasers and high risks.
Chasers. There's going to be lots of them. So I am contemplating, actually, if I want to go down to see, because I have not seen a tornado. I'm not going to drive myself. I'm not stupid. I do have spotting. I do have some spotter training. So I do know what I'm looking at. I'm not going down there to looky-loo. I don't have a camcorder because I had a camcorder and then it decided to break, and all I have is a digital camera. I want to experience it, and once I've experienced it, I don't want to experience it anymore. That's my thing. I want to see one tornado out in the middle of nowhere, not hitting anybody, and I'll be like, yay, tornado, the end, and then I'll go home.
I guarantee you that's not going to happen.
Yeah, because unfortunately, I'm going to see a tornado, and it's not going to be yay. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's going to be in the middle of a town, killing people, and that's not going to be yay tornado. That's going to be oh no tornado.
No, that's not even what I was getting at. You're going to see your first tornado, and you'll be like, okay, mission accomplished on the way home, and then you're going to go back to your normal daily routine. And then you're going to see the next slight risk come up. You're like, ooh.
Yeah,
it's only outgoing to Iowa, and they're under 30%.
I wouldn't. One good thing, I have a vehicle that does not work that well because we go back to the tire issue. That's the exact reason I don't go now, because my truck doesn't go, and I'm not going to go and get my mother's car because it's a Nissan Versa, and I wouldn't chance that. Although it gets good gas mileage. But anyway.
It does. And if you know what you're doing, you can still get out in a Nissan Versa.
But I don't want to end up having hail damage. So too bad.
Correct. Stay south.
I did it. I did chasing for 2 years. And I was pretty good at it, given the fact I still haven't seen a tornado. I would stay within about 30 miles of home. And I've seen wall clouds, I've seen spinning wall clouds, I've seen lots of stuff, but never a tornado. Probably don't want to.
You know what?
I've heard a tornado at close range, but I didn't see it. And I would that I have to say this, because I don't know if I've ever mentioned this on this program, 100 and some shows. I was witness to an F2 tornado. I heard it, but I didn't see it.
Wrapped in rain?
No, it was 11 o'clock at night, and
Oh,
I was at home,
no thank you.
and I heard it. It sounded like a vacuum cleaner. And I didn't know what it was until after the fact, when they had said that there was bad damage. And I was living in Cedar Rapids at the time, just north of me by about 3/4 of a mile. When they described that neighborhood that was just north of me, where the second floor of houses were gone. And I'm like, okay. I called my parents at 1 o'clock in the morning to tell them that I was all right. And they're like, eh. They're like, whatever. And it ended up being an F2 tornado. It was not on the, it was in Cedar Rapids. It's the last time a tornado was in the city limits of Cedar Rapids. It's 2003, July 20th.
Huh.
And it only hit this one little neighborhood. It was only on the ground for less than a half mile. But it hit right in the neighborhood. 2 of the houses it hit had to be torn down because the damage was so bad.
What neighborhood was it?
It was up by E Avenue Northwest between Jacqueline Drive and West Post. Or no, Wiley Boulevard and
Oh, southwest side then.
No, it's on the northwest side.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'm tracking now.
So to go, it would be, if you take E Avenue from Edgewood and go west, you come to a 4-way, which I think is Wiley Boulevard.
Yeah, that's Wiley.
And then it's just to the southwest of that, in that neighborhood.
Yep.
The houses that were hit were on Peace Avenue Northwest. And I put a blog post saying there was no peace on Peace Avenue that night. There wasn't. That's where the 2 houses that they had to tear down were on Peace Avenue Northwest. And I lived on that side of town at the time. And for me to get from there to my parents' house here in Anamosa, where I live now,
Right.
I would actually drive up Jacqueline Drive to Peace Avenue and drive up Peace Avenue to E Avenue Northwest to then go to Edgewood and then go up Edgewood to Blair's Ferry and all through there.
Yep.
And this is during a time when there would be bad weather. I would get in my car. I had a Corsica at the time. Get the camcorder and drive around looking at storms. And that night, I didn't do it. But if I had, I probably would have gone in that direction. I would have driven myself into a tornado. And I don't think I would have been too excited about that.
No.
That's because
bad.
I heard the thing that scared me about that night, the tornadoes were coming from the northwest. And there had been tornado warnings all night. And there was kind of the tornado was going kind of up and down. There had been at least 2 or 3 before this one.
Okay.
And I remember that hearing the tornado, didn't know what it was till after the fact. And I saw, because they were building a building next to me, an apartment building next to me. So there was a lot of construction equipment, construction stuff everywhere. And I saw stuff get flung into the air and spun and went flying over another roof right next to me. And I'm thinking, okay, I don't like this. I went into my bathroom and hid in the bathtub for about 5 minutes. And I heard the wind slam into the apartment building. And I'm thinking, okay, I am not getting out of this bathroom. I did not lose power until the next morning. Then I did.
Wow. Yeah.
So,
nighttime, no go for me.
Yeah. You would not have. It was pretty much rain wrapped. If it had been during the day, I would have seen the tornado easily, because the damage went from about just northwest, E Avenue Northwest near Jacqueline Drive, to about Johnson Avenue at Wiley.
Okay.
That that the tornado was only in that one little area, but there was damage that continued kind of southeast to that intersection because there was a bunch of trees that got knocked down there. The tornado wasn't on the ground there, but the wind was still.
It's probably the RFD.
Yeah, so it continued. So there was an enhanced amount of damage that continued from where the tornado had after it had left. That continued in a southeasterly pattern. So, but
that's kind of a similar deal to the Traer, Iowa tornado a couple of years ago.
That was a south northwest to southeast tornado. You'd be surprised. There's too many people that think, oh, tornadoes are southwest to northeast. Not in Iowa, they aren't.
Not 30%, not all the time.
30% of Iowa's tornadoes come from the northwest, and most of those occur in the summer. Note what I was talking about, Peace Avenue. That was in July.
Yep.
Go back to tornadoes of the past. Manson, 1979. They had a tornado that went right through town. That came from the northwest. That was in June. Same day, Algona got hit by a tornado, and that came from the northwest.
Yep.
There's a lot of these tornadoes in the summer that come from the northwest, but we're in April. Southwest to northeast tornadoes are this time of the year. Northwest to southeast tornadoes are in the summer.
Yep.
So we have to be prepared for. So it's not like everywhere we're a tornado, southwest to northeast. Here, that's all well and fine, but then in the summer we get summer tornadoes, which are much different. So because summertime severe storms are way different from springtime. They're not the same. At
least around here.
No, because summertime tornadoes can be even more crazy and very difficult because you could have, and I've seen this before, where you just have this little cold front. It doesn't look very impressive. It maybe drops the temperatures 5 or 10 degrees, but if there's enough oomph or something, you can get nasty weather. For example, Plainfield, 1990. Guess what type? That was in August. That was an F5. That was a tornado from the northwest.
Yep.
So don't tell me that F5 tornadoes can't come from the northwest, because they have before. So you have to be, and that was August. And that's the only August F5 tornado, F5E5 tornado right now that I know of.
I think it's the only one on record.
August?
Yes, for August.
There's so, and I have noticed this because if you go back, and I'm sorry we're seemingly flying off the handle now. Our fall tornadoes. We have a fall tornado season, whether it's active or inactive. It seems like when we get to fall, the tornadoes are back to southwest to northeast again. Because 2005, the infamous Woodward tornado and Stratford, those were southwest to northeast tornadoes.
Yep.
The tornado outbreak we had a couple of years ago in northwest Iowa in October, those were southwest to northeast tornadoes. That included the Wayne, Nebraska tornado.
Yep.
We had, I know, in 1966, the Belmont tornado was southwest to northeast. That was an F5. And that was in October. So, but anyway, I didn't mean we going off because I think I've completely lost where we were going. We're talking about stuff, but
my original question was, what's one or two of the bigger parameters for Tuesday that seemingly are jumping out at us?
Well, now that my computer has decided to finally start working, let's see if I can finally start putting something up here so I can start looking at this.
Let me reword that. Of all the roughly, I'll call it 65 parameters that everybody likes to look at when it comes to forecasting severe weather, what are the one or two or three that look to be, I don't know, the most impressive, and why?
I would say anytime you can get STP and look at that, significant tornado parameter, it's not the end all, but, and I'm trying to get up the SIGTOR. I'm using I'm going to put down the 4 kilometer NAM from 18Z. So come on, come on, computer, be nice to me. Oh, wait a minute. I got to do something. So just a second. Okay.
Uh-oh.
What did I do?
Computer fail again.
No, I had to because
aha.
I had to put this on a separate window so it would do it right.
Good choice, sir. Pivotal weather.
Yeah, because it looks like Weather Bell, and it doesn't cost anything yet. Anyway, so I mean, this is only going to take me through the thing or the event for Sunday, because this is Sunday. This is Sunday. We're not talking about Tuesday, because unfortunately Tuesday is not on this yet, at least on the 4 kilometer. Oops. So see, this indicates that there's probably going to be some active weather, at least in south central Nebraska through Kansas and northwestern Oklahoma, which is pretty much about where they think that more active weather will be for Sunday. Now, if I was to look at this for Tuesday, this is Tuesday at midnight, or 1 a.m., so you can see it looks fairly active in Oklahoma during the overnight.
Is that Tuesday night or Tuesday morning?
This would be Tuesday morning at 1 a.m.
Okay.
So I would have to.
So that would introduce a question. If you have those kind of, if you have that kind of deal at 1 a.m. Tuesday, then that whole thing could rain itself out.
Well, that's one thing you have to always be aware of. If thunderstorms blow up and then they're around and they eat up all the and they take the moisture and take all the instability, you're left with nothing in the afternoon.
Yep.
Here is Tuesday at 7 p.m. Can you take a good guess where the severe weather will be? Probably right here. And then along what looks to be the dry line. But you see this, and this screams tornadoes. Does that mean that's where they're going to be? We need more data. But this is where the NAM thinks it's going to be. Somewhere probably fairly close to Belleville, Kansas. Just maybe a bit west of there. And then south.
But what number does that represent? I can't. The phone isn't scaling that well.
78. So let me, because I have it on the scale, so let me do that. So this is STP.
Yep.
It is indicating STP of about over 5.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
And as Span has always said, an STP of 1 is significant. And we're looking at 5. Now, on April 27th, we were saying 8, 9, 10.
Yeah.
And 12. And this is 5. So this is like, eh.
Well, compared to April 27th, but that's not even a comparison. April 27th, 2011 was one of those, like, again, what he says, one of those generational days, one of those 1 days every 30 or so years where, synoptically speaking, it is the perfect setup for an outbreak of tornadoes.
Yeah, here's the energy helicity index. It's at 5 in this area, and then down to about 2 to 3 down further into Oklahoma. Energy helicity index is something you'd look at. Surface-based CAPE. This is going to be it. And I mean, look at that. That screams bad weather. For example, you can see this part right over here in central Missouri. That's pretty much near Columbia, Jeff City. Yep. Is where the worst CAPE is, and that CAPE is almost 6,000.
But there's nothing going to be there to force the air up. So
if you look at this right here, you see this right here. That's a boundary. I can tell it is right off the bat.
Oh yeah, man, this
right along 70 from St. Louis to Columbia, Jeff City to north of Kansas City
You think that's the warm front?
With the dry line, if you notice where this was, that's where the highest STP was.
Triple point.
There's your triple point. And that's going to be moving that way. So, yeah, but is that where the boundary is going to be? We don't know. Because you're not going to know this possibly until hours before it starts. And we're looking days. Three days plus in advance.
We're just getting into the decent skill area right now.
So, and you look at the Cape values even down through Oklahoma, 3,000 to 4,000, maybe 3,000 to 4,500. So this would if I was to look at this, and let's say I look at the bulk shear, I'm not seeing anything worth noting that's going to be crazy. But what I'm going to do is with pivotal weather, you can actually click to get a sounding. So a
forecast sounding?
Yes.
Cool.
So this is Oklahoma City. So here's Wichita. And here, if this pops up, look what the hazard type says. Tor, meaning tornadoes. And look at this. There's
your nice photograph.
And there's no cap. Because there's no capping inversion.
So that could be a question, though. Or that could introduce a question into the severity of it. Because if there's no convective inhibition, then
storms will just go off all over the place.
Yeah, storms will go.
Before. Yeah. Now, what I'm going to do, we're going to go back to, because is this saying, oh, there'll be tornadoes here? Could there be nothing there? I mean, it's basing it off of what it says could happen. Now, I'm going to do the forecast sounding for where this is the worst. So let me try.
Where was the first sounding for?
Wichita.
Oh, okay, okay.
Look what that says.
SIGTOR.
No, that's PDS.
Oh.
That's worse.
And there is... Okay, hold on. I have a question here. I've never seen this before. Look at the left side of the sounding. Where the yeah, right there. Right where you're pointing. Now, I can't see that very well, but are the temperature and moisture lines literally intersecting?
They're on top of each other, which more or less means the humidity. It says the temperature is 67, which you can't read, and the dew point is 65.
Oh, okay.
And the temperature and dew point kind of go straight up, and then they divert really fast. So with it dropping off like that real fast, that would indicate hail. But look, the wind is east, switching to south.
Yeah,
that's a bit odd. Because that's kind of like on the northeastern side of a low pressure center. That doesn't sound like tornado criteria, but it says, according to this, the effective layer STP, if this purple line is right, that's over 9.
But here's the thing.
Yeah, it is. 9.
Here's the thing. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the environment surrounding the Joplin tornado in May of 2011 had a similar wind profile down low. It had east winds way down low, and then south and southwest winds up a little higher.
Well,
if memory serves.
And I'm happy to look at this just for the heck of it, because all this stuff, it's showing the Cape values are really good. And the lifted index levels, -11 to -14, that's very good. One thing that's interesting me is this analog. Right.
What's the analog say?
There's only one. And for those that would have to read this, and I'm trying to think if this is actually correct. And if those that don't know, I might be wrong. This is indicating May 6th, 2003, 18Z. May 6th, 2003, if I remember correctly, was a tornado day. And a violent one. There was a lot of... Wait a minute. I'm trying to think, was that the day there was a bunch of tornadoes near Kansas City? Was that the day there was tornadoes in Kansas City that day?
Look it up. We're doing a forecast live. Let's do it.
Well, this is just a sounding, so...
Right.
So, while I do that off camera, I put down May 6, 2003, and then I pipe in the word tornado, and tornado outbreak popped up. So what day was this? Uh-oh. Well, this is fun. First thing I show is May tornado outbreak sequence. 400 tornadoes. Oh, great. Lovely. This is going to be fun. Oh, no. May 6th. No. May 4th, 2003 was the day of the tornadoes in Kansas City. This was May 6th. So this was still in the same outbreak sequence, but it was not the same day. So I'm going to look this up. There was a tornado on May 6th in Illinois that was an F4. So, okay. On the May 2003 sequence, there was 400 tornadoes. Over like many days. In fact, I'm counting. There was tornadoes from April 30th until May 11th. Every day. That's 11 days of. That's actually 12 days in a row of tornadoes. And we're not talking about like one tornado. We're talking about multiple tornadoes. Ooh, excuse me. May 6th, there were 75 tornadoes on May 6th, and there were 1 F4, 1 F3, 5 F2s, 27 F1s, and 41 F0s. The only ones of any significance, there was one in Missouri, and there was one in southern Illinois. But then there is an interesting side note for if you want to know, go really nuts.
Sure.
May 8th, 2003. Would you like to take a guess what happened on May 8th of 2003? Still the same outbreak.
Kansas City?
No, that was May 4th.
No, I could have swore there was something else in Kansas City that...
There was tornadoes. There were separate tornadoes. One was near Lawrence, Kansas, which was on a separate day. And one was Kansas City, which happened. It was through Parkville and up to Liberty. That was the tornado on May 4th. May 8th, 2003, if you want to be aware of that, was the day Moore, Oklahoma got hit again.
Oh.
Because people remember the tornado a couple of years ago, 2013's tornado, and they remember 1999. They forget that they had an F4 in 2003.
Yep.
And that was May 8th. And there was multiple tornadoes in Oklahoma City that day. And
correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't that, and now my memory's starting to come back, wasn't that like a very borderline F4, F5? Like they almost, like NWS almost called it an F5?
No.
Or am I thinking of a different day?
There is a tornado. There is an F4 that was there, but the tornado in Moore on May 8th of 2003, in the city of Moore, the worst damage was F3. It was only F4 damage after it had passed Moore and went east of there. and
Okay.
east of there, because this tornado actually, the May 8th, 2003 tornado actually formed in Moore, in the western side of the city, and went right through, pretty much damaging the same places as the 99 tornado. It
Okay.
went further east, hit the General Motors plant, damaged that severely. That's where the F4 damage was. It then went to Tinker Air Force Base. I swear that Air Force Base gets hit by everything. And that got hit. It then went into the eastern part of town, and it continued onward, but that one was at F4. That went all the way up past Tinker up toward Choctaw.
Okay.
But yeah, that if I remember, oh, wait a minute. Oh, okay, now we're getting to the good parts. There was another tornado the next day that hit the north side of Oklahoma City. That's the one that almost hit all the TV stations in Oklahoma City. That's the one, if you go on YouTube and hear Gary England telling people that they need to take cover, there's video of it. That's May 9th of 2003. That's when a large tornado touched down just, I think it was across the street from Channel 9's studio in Oklahoma City. It
Yeah.
touched down across the street and it went to the east. That's the one that went along the Turner Turnpike. And if I remember, that's the one that went to Stroud. Yep. And I think it hit a outlet mall and completely destroyed it. And they never rebuilt it.
Wow.
So I remember that. So yeah. That was the next night. There were tornadoes everywhere. So could we see something like 2003? Every tornado outbreak's different.
We'll see.
Yeah. So that's the end of that. I don't know if we want to discuss what was discussed on Weather Brains about storm chasers going all crazy about the Weather Service. We should have mentioned this last week because this came out right before last week's show, but we never got around to it.
Well, we had a guest last week.
I think it's been pretty much run over that I don't think we need to go over it.
I'd like to touch on it.
We can touch on it a little bit.
2 cents in. I don't really understand this concept of a closed network. Given that, granted, I wasn't there, so I don't know the whole thing. I did hear the audio clip. But I do know of Daniel Shaw's work, and
Yeah.
he's one of those really upstanding spotters.
Yes.
I mean, I personally would not consider him a chaser. Yeah, he films, he records, he tries to sell his video, but 90% of his video, you hear his call sign, and he's on the horn, calling in reports. He's on his cell phone, talking to the National Weather Service, talking about what's going on, what he sees, what's going on. That is the earmark of a spotter. If I were that network admin, and granted, I do not have a ham license anymore, so I don't know how it is anymore. If I heard that Australian accent come over, because he's the only one from Australia that comes and does this thing.
Yeah.
Which speaks to his commitment in my mind. But if I heard that voice come over my network's airwaves, I'm listening. Because chances are pretty good that he has something really, really good to say, and it's going to be something of value that's probably going to help somebody make a really good decision. And it's a shame that this perceived, shunning of storm chasers is even a thing. Because if somebody has something to say that's underneath a storm, they should be allowed to say it no matter what. And
Yeah.
I do know part of the governing body that oversees, amateur radio says if you're reporting a tornado, you can report it on any airwave you want. That's part of the mandate. If
Yeah.
you're reporting a tornado, you can switch to any frequency and report it. You have that legal right. But if he's checking in, which the way I remember, in order to gain access to a net, you have to check in first with the network admin, and then you submit your report. That's that's the protocol that's been set up. That's the way it's been for years and years and years. If that's the protocol for everybody, for every ham operator, why was it any different than him? Or for him, I should say.
Yeah. And I'm wondering, and I don't want to I don't want to get into the huff of what they did up down in Wichita Falls, because I think the problem that arose is that, and it got more people upset about what Rick Smith supposedly said that was misconstrued, because of the fact that what Rick Smith then said on Weather Brains on Monday is what he meant, but what was construed in the articles is what got more storm chasers pissed off, that got him more angry. Now, the one thing I will kind of go on both sides. If they allowed everybody into the what was, I think, the ARES thing.
Aries and races.
Yeah, into Aries. If they let everybody in, then at that point, the spotters wouldn't be able to communicate with themselves, because it would just be complete noise and you wouldn't get anything. It would just be constant noise. So there has to be somewhere where stuff can get sent to their own group. Now, I will give them credit that they should let others in if they have something important to say, and there should be some type of protocol for that, for people outside, for especially experienced storm chasers like Daniel, because as I even knew of him. Because so and there's some places that are even more closed. Wichita County in Texas is semi-closed. There's a lot of them that are closed off completely. So he was able to get in, even though he wasn't really wanted. But when you go back to Wichita Falls 1979, I wish they still had the audio from that. I'm going to complain to the Weather Service in Norman for that, because they had it on their website and then they took it down. The audio of the Wichita Falls tornado from that spotter network, from Aries,
from the same net.
Yeah, and it was done through a repeater from somebody who was listening to it in, I think it was Clay County, which is the county to the east.
Right.
You've heard of it. You heard it then.
The 79.
Yes.
Audio.
Yes.
I'm not sure.
It used to be on the weather. It used to be on the web, on the internet, and it's gone now. But I have heard it.
I don't think that net was called Aries.
It's similar to what they have now. It was the same setup, but it wasn't called that.
Well, there's two network groups. There's and I'm holding up the air quotes, the closed group called Aries, and forgive me, I do not know the acronym names anymore, the full names of the acronym anymore. There's Aries, which is the more closed off, which is usually safe for like the emergency managers and the police departments to communicate with the National Weather Service and neighboring EM counties and stuff like that, fire departments.
Yeah,
that
like
sort of thing.
On a county point-to-point network. You call, for example, we'll use this because all you have to do is, for here, every time the fire whistle goes off, yes, we have sirens that go off when there's a fire. So we have fire whistles going off for everything. I typically turn on the scanner online because I don't need a scanner. I'll just go on the internet and listen. And you can hear point to point. Counties are calling each other about certain things. And my fire department, my fire district, I'll just call it fire district, is in 2 counties.
Yep.
So if in Lynn and Jones County, so if there's a fire in Lynn County and it's in Anamosa's fire district, Lynn County then has to call Jones County, and then Jones County has to then send out the fire call. Because Lynn County, if you call 911, it goes to Lynn County. It doesn't go to Jones County.
Yep.
So Lynn County then has to call Jones County to have Jones County then send the fire department. It sounds very kooky and cockeyed, and typically if it's in Lynn County in Anamosa Fire District, we pretty much know where it is anyway. So they pretty much don't even need to know because we know where it is. And they had a massive fire a couple of months ago. Anyway, so there's a lot of that.
But the other network is called RACES, RACES, and
which is in the Metroplex. I know they mentioned that on Weather Brains on Monday.
Well, Aries and RACES I think are nationwide. They're like the
they're not in all places. Typically, there's one or the other. In some cases, there are both.
In all locales, yeah. RACES is where you find all of your open networks, all of your open nets.
I think it's the other way around. I think RACES, from what Span said, was RACES was very closed off.
Okay, maybe I have them backwards.
Aries is kind of semi-closed. RACES is very closed.
Yeah.
But go on.
With the semi-closed one, anybody can check in and join the network and submit a report if needed. That's part of the mandate for amateur high amplitude radio or ham radio.
Unless
civilians to send reports up the chain to whoever needs it, weather service, fire department, police. It's an alternate means of communication over long distances.
Yeah.
And the fact that these closed networks will not let somebody in who probably has something very good to say, to me is not the best idea in the world, because this guy has not proven to be one of these irresponsible chasers. If it was some a-hole that was calling in a fake report from Virginia over the internet.
Oh God, we could spend an hour on that.
Yes. If it was one of those people, yeah, get rid of them, ban them. Say, don't even follow protocols. Be like, hey, get off this network. You're bad.
There's the problem. And you just brought up a point right off the bat by just saying that. Why should the spotters be spending all their time trying to get people off the network that shouldn't be on there? They're wasting the time of them people that should be getting spotter reports. So there's where the con is. Let everybody in. Then they're spending a bunch of people trying to get people off that are being stupid. And in turn, you're wasting time doing that when you should be spending your time getting reports of tornadoes coming at you. But you're spending your time getting rid of the looky-loos and the crazy people from Virginia that have nothing to report of any significance except being stupid.
Not that we're picking on Virginia. Not that we're picking on Virginia.
Yes, okay, Connecticut, whatever. But
yeah, from
I think the thing is they need to semi-open it, but they need to get them to at least a lot of storm chasers that'll be in the area. They should check in the day of, not like 5 minutes before, because in this case with Wichita County, they set up, I think, the minute the tornado watch or whatever watch is issued, they go into their area, which happens to be where Kevin Selly works.
Yes.
Anyway, so he's involved. Anyway, but not really. So that's when they should start having people check in and let anybody in. But the minute but you have to check in like within like an hour. If you don't check in, you're out.
Well, here's the thing. I
Then it's
agree
opened up a little more, but it's still
I
semi-closed.
I agree with the general idea, but I don't agree with the checking in the day before, because that
I'm saying checking in before the storms come. I'm not saying the day before. I meant before the weather gets active, as in the watch is issued.
Before the report starts flowing already.
Don't check in until you see the tornado coming.
Right.
That's too late. You need to check in the minute you're in the area.
Yeah, because I was about to say that just eliminates all the mobile spotters like me out of the equation completely, and that's a whole segment of data you're gonna miss.
It opens it up, but if you don't check in, then you shouldn't be allowed in, because we can't let everybody in.
Yeah,
they need to have at least some sense of getting reports out.
Yeah, there has to be an order to it, so
it has to be orderly.
Yeah, so it's not.
You don't want it to be disorderly, or then if it ends up one time they do it and they let everybody in and then it's disorderly, they'll completely close it off and you won't have anybody on it. So it's almost like the case of one bad apple. If one person screws it up, then it screws it up for everybody else. And my guess is, and it's not Daniel's fault, because I think honestly they should open it up to a certain extent. I don't think they should let it open the barn doors and let everybody in, because I think that runs the risk of too many people are going to join in and they'll jump in everywhere and go crazy, and they'll be doing tornadoes everywhere and there won't be anything. And you run into that problem. And there are people that do that. And I don't know why. I think they have some obsession of something. I don't know. They're just a bunch. I think
as Michael Caine said in the Batman movie, some people just want to watch the world burn.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway,
that's truly how they are. They just are there to stir up some crap. That's all they're trying to do, and that's wrong. But and I think you may be right with the one bad apple spoiling the bunch. I think somebody else trolled that network at some point, and that left a bad taste in their mouth. So they completely closed it off to all chasers, regardless of reputation, regardless of whatever. They just said, bam, that's it. Just these people, and that's it.
Yeah.
And there is some value to that, because you don't want to clog up your airwaves. But to me, the logical solution to that issue would be move your network to a certain bandwidth or a certain range of frequencies and close it off there.
Yeah.
And make it nationwide. These frequencies are completely closed. They're reserved just for closed spotter or ham radio traffic networks only. The rest is wide open. You can come in, you can join, as long as you follow the proper protocol. You can come in, you can join, you can submit your reports, you can move your information as freely as you want, given, again, that you follow proper protocol to check in and then check out of the network when you're done, so the network admin can keep track, because that's his job. His job is to keep track of not only the reports flowing and relaying those reports, but also keeping track, usually with a pen and pad, of the call signs of everybody coming in and leaving his network.
Yeah.
So when severe weather happens, a network admin's office becomes a very, very busy and chaotic place, because he's wearing 2 or 3 different hats. He's playing the role of an emergency manager. He's playing the role of coach, because he's trying to direct his network's people around, the people that he always deals with. And then he's trying to deal with all the people from outside of his network trying to come in.
Oopsie.
That sounded like a scanner.
Well, you know what that was? That is the audio from Wichita County in 1979.
Let's play it.
Well, it was really shoddy and crappy, and I wish the Norman office didn't have it, because they used to have it on their on the website of the Red River Valley outbreak, and they had the whole thing, and they dumped it. Stupid people! I'm going to yell at Rick Smith for that.
Uh-oh.
But because they took it off, and it makes me suspicious as to why they took it off.
I just don't think that they want to add any flame to the fire, because somebody's going to dig that up, like you. Somebody's going to dig that up.
Yeah, what website did I just pop that off of? I popped that off of Kevin Sully's TV station. And it's not all.
Probably posted it.
It's only 15 minutes of it, whereas the Weather Service had the full length, which was almost an hour, until the county's repeater went offline.
Because it probably got hit by the tornado.
No, the power went out, so they couldn't.
Okay.
Because the guy was in Noncona, or Nocona, I think it's
Nocona. Yep.
Nocona, which is in Clay County, Texas. It's or I think it may be even further than that, but it's east of Wichita Falls by like 30 miles.
Yep.
So they were far enough away, and so when the repeater went out, you couldn't hear anymore, and all you hear is the guy in the background who did it. He's like, "Oh, I think it got hit. We need to get there," or some such thing. Anyway, back to fun. But anyway, so
I just think that whole thing just bad, because
they got a thing and this was just in Wichita County, Texas. Who's to say something like this won't happen in, say, Oklahoma County, Oklahoma City, or say up in Kansas? Let's
say Lynn County, Iowa.
Well,
because we have both an open group and a closed net. We have both here.
Yes, but we're talking about Iowa. Nobody chases here because there's no touchdowns. Anyway, so
nobody chases here until the next Parkersburg happens, and then everybody.
Nobody chased in Iowa that day either. They chased in Kansas. I mean, I remember that day. There was very few people that chased Parkersburg, and most of them were local people. And
really?
Yeah, there was no big chasers at Parkersburg. None. Most of the chasers that were around here were local people, or people that were from the upper Midwest. And even people up in Minnesota probably chased the Hugo tornado, which was also the same day, and that was an F3 tornado.
That was enough for them.
But most of the chasers that were on Parkersburg, there were several, but they were all pretty much Iowans or people that lived within, like, in the area. Everybody, all the big time chasers were in Kansas. I do remember that. And that led to a lot of people coming back into Iowa thinking, oh, there'll be tornadoes, and then there weren't any. That's why you have people not wanting to chase in Iowa, because they're like, Iowa, no touchdowns occur there. Make a snide remark about football, except for the fact that Iowa State's football team is called the Cyclones, but don't fret, there's never touchdowns there. Except they're the only university in Iowa. Well, no, I take that back. The University of Iowa had a tornado. Iowa State had a tornado. Northern Iowa hasn't had a tornado, and neither has Drake. So, darn.
But they all have atmospheric science programs. Go figure.
The funny thing about Iowa State is they had a tornado that went right down through campus. It was a weak tornado. This was in 2005. It was in September. It was 2 months before the Woodward tornado. They had a tornado.
I don't remember that. I don't remember that at all, because I was spending a little year-long vacation in the Middle East.
Yeah, it was in 2005. Anyway, it went down. It started on the west. The tornado started on the west side of campus and it went right down the street. And people were walking outside because it was rain. It was a thunderstorm. It wasn't particularly a severe storm. It was strong. And it was rain wrapped. There's no video of it. And it lifted and it hit the agronomy building. What's the agronomy building? That's where the Department of Meteorology is at Iowa State.
Yep.
A tornado hits it. Like the tornado went right to the agronomy building. And it lifted. It lifted just east of the agronomy building.
I wonder.
The only damage it did was it knocked a few trees down. Trees got knocked down. It was a very weak tornado, but it only was on the ground on campus. It never stayed anywhere else, which was very weird.
I wonder how many meteorology departments have actually been impacted by a tornado.
I don't even think OU has. Not since they've moved their meteorology department to the weather center. The old
Now that you say that, that's going to be
Norman's been hit by tornadoes.
What's that?
Norman's been hit by tornadoes, but never OU's campus. And not since they've moved the meteorology department's moved to the weather center.
Right.
And I've been to OU's campus. Oh, it's so nice. But anyway, there's Kansas. Kansas has a meteorology department. Lawrence has had a tornado, but not on campus.
What about the Topeka, Kansas tornado in the 60s where Washburn University was?
Yeah, but Washburn. Yeah, but you're talking about meteorology departments. But Washburn,
Did they have a Met department at this time?
No.
Oh, okay.
Let me think about other meteorology departments. Texas
A&M.
Texas Tech is in. Well, Texas Tech has one, or has something close to one. That's in Lubbock, and they had a tornado in 1970. That was an F5 that pretty much did a lot of damage. Texas A&M is in College Station. I can't remember any exciting tornadoes there.
University of Nebraska.
Lincoln, no. Not that I can think of. Wisconsin, that's Madison, no. Illinois, Champaign, there's been a few tornadoes nearby, but nothing, no. St. Louis University, they have a meteorology department. They've had tornadoes all over St. Louis, but not where campus is, though, that I can remember. Mississippi State, Starkville, they've had tornadoes.
Yes, they have.
Everywhere. You have you have the University of Alabama, Huntsville. They have tornadoes there all the time. South Alabama, they have hurricanes. Florida State has hurricanes. UNC Charlotte, they have tornadoes when they feel like it.
What about Penn State? I wonder.
Penn State, they more just have blizzards and tornadoes once in a blue moon. Michigan, Ohio State is a meteorology school. I could really get nuts and say, well, UCLA has a meteorology department, meteorology of sunshine.
Yep.
And then rain if it's El Nino.
Yep.
And earthquakes, but that's not meteorology.
That's
although when they talk, when it's like there's an earthquake, let's go to the meteorologist, as if they know what they do. That's not their department.
Well,
they're the scientists.
The meteorologist is usually the station scientist, so they do all the science pieces for the.
Yeah, because I think that's the thing. A lot of meteorologists, they have to be in all aspects of, especially if you're in an active region of earthquakes. Which in Oklahoma now, you better start learning your earthquakes because you're getting a lot of them now.
Yep.
And I had to drink a drink. I'm taking a drink. Oh.
I need to do the same thing. I think this little sniffle I get is progressing because now my throat's getting dry and cracky.
Well, mine was kind of itchy because I think I ate some red skin peanuts and they make my back of my throat itchy from the skin of the red skin peanuts. But anyway, we'll try to get this done so we're not going to let your voice completely die out.
Oh, my voice will last forever.
Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, we've lost track of where we were going with this, but anyway.
There's some good topics tonight. There was another question I wanted to ask. I'm gonna have to think about it here for a minute. Oh, this kind of stems off of my original question, which kind of set off the entire episode.
Why is the sky blue?
Yeah. Where do you? Never mind. I'm not gonna ask that. in general, and I know the answer to this question, but I'm just on the off chance that a newbie stumbles across this. Let's name off like 5 or 10 like of the most important factors that we forecasters look at when we're dealing with upcoming severe weather. And
Oh,
what specifically we look at. I mean, not just the number, but what the relationship is with the number and everything else that's going on.
okay. So
And I realize we could go on for another 4.5 hours on just this question alone, but
yeah, so I'm gonna try to round it up. What I typically do.
let's do 5 to keep the time down.
Well, no, I'm just list them. I'm not gonna go off on every single one of them. I typically look at every cape value, surface, mixed layer, etc. So all cape levels are convective available potential energy. The higher the cape levels, the better chances you have for robust thunderstorms, except in some cases you don't need high values to get severe weather, especially in the early spring and in the fall and winter. You can have cape values fairly low, 1,000 or less, and you can get some of those thunderstorms.
That's true.
You typically get high values in the summer because of the temperatures being so warm and you have humidity and whatnot. Shear levels, typically 0 to 1 kilometer. You typically want to look at that. If there's too much shear, the storms are going to get completely sheared and nothing happens because then you're not going to get the growth of a thunderstorm up. If it's going to get sheared off, it's not going to do much of anything because it has to be a right balance, because if it's not sheared enough, you're not going to get rotating updrafts. If it's too sheared, the thunderstorms are just going to get ripped off and nothing happens.
Yep.
Well, you have thunderstorms, you're not going to get a lot of activity. To a certain extent, you'll get maybe some severe weather, but it won't be exciting. For people that want exciting. I typically look at lifted index, or LI, because the lower the number, because anything that's negative means the atmosphere is unstable. More unstable, the better. So you want numbers -6, 7, 8, 9, 10 on down. Anything -10 or lower is like really crazy. So, and as I saw on Tuesday, I was seeing -12, 13, 14. So, and it's not like those numbers are like, oh my God, you get those quite often, especially with robust type activity. And during days when it's nice and sunny, the lifted index is typically like +20 to +40. And we're talking like -10 to -15 for severe, for this coming Tuesday.
Right.
You can get thunderstorms. You can get thunderstorms at +5 or 6, but they're not severe. They're typically elevated, and all it does is thunder, lightning, and rains. You can get that when the atmosphere is stable. Those would be
are what you call garden variety storms.
Those are the thunderstorms, the nocturnal storms we get at night. The storms build up at night when all the cape has disappeared because the sun's gone down, and you get thunderstorms building up, and then it just thunders and lightnings and does nothing. Except just rains at night. A lot of our nocturnal summertime activity is nocturnal thunderstorms. They just build up at night, and then when the sun comes down, the jet streak dies out, the sun comes up, the storms die out. I went off on Dr. Gallus back 2 summers ago about that. About why does it seem like that nocturnal thunderstorms, because they were doing the thing about planes elevated convection at night, or pecan or whatever. That was about 1.5 years ago. It's I think last summer, whatever.
Yep.
I went off about that. I was like, well, why are thunderstorms always seemingly dying out in the morning? And I kind of slightly knew the answer, but I wanted to make sure I was knowing the right answer. So anyway, I'm sorry I'm getting off, but okay, so I did all the capes, shear, lifted index. I typically look at convective inhibition, or CINH, because if you have any, that means the thunderstorm is going to be capped. The bigger the number of convective inhibition, the more capping there'll be, and if there's too much, the storms may not even develop at all, and all you'll see is a wonderful sunny day. But sometimes if you get a strong cap and it pops, then watch out, because you could go from a nice sunny day to possibly having a tornado on the ground in less than 30 minutes. That's how
No, no,
violent it could get if the cap really strong and it pops. That's what could happen. And that is what happened on the El Reno day. You had clouds. You had storms trying to come, but they kept turkeying out. For those that don't know, I'm not going to go into that. The storms were going and then they would die out. When the storm finally developed, within about 45 minutes, you had a tornado on the ground.
Yep.
From the beginning to when the first tornado, it wasn't El Reno's, it was another one, the one preceding it. 45 minutes, roughly. So 45 minutes to about an hour. So you can go from nothing to tornado if you have something like that. Anyway, so after that, I typically look at significant tornado parameters. I look at supercell convective or supercell potential to make sure if any of the storms are going to be supercells or have the potential to be supercells, because supercells mainly are the ones that typically would produce tornadoes, although not always. I typically look at dew points, temperatures, etc. And some cases I will look at soundings, like I showed earlier, to see what the wind fields are like at different levels, et cetera, in certain areas.
Cool. Very cool.
But I could go even on further. I would say just go to pivotalweather.com and just look up everything. And then you won't be like, and they'll be like, what does this mean? And I just like, whatever. So, but anyway.
I just wanted to shed some light on that because it seems like every time a decent outbreak, well, not outbreak, but anytime a decent setup comes our way and we're this far out, it seems like somebody latches on to some certain parameter and it just goes viral and everybody can somehow,
Would it happen to be somebody named, would it happen to be something that comes from a certain cable operation? When they say Torcon of 40 million.
I will neither confirm nor deny the origin of my
That
thought.
means yes. Anyway, okay, I will say this. I do look at Torcon. Only for the fact that I want to see what they say. Does that mean I'm thinking, well, he says a Torcon of 5. I think there'll be bad weather. I typically look at what they say, and then I typically look at models first, and then I look at Torcon. I look at Torcon last. Sometimes I'll look at it first if I want to try to see if I haven't been paying attention. I'll look at that and then look at models and then kind of decide. And most of the time, I side with what models are saying and not with Torcon. Torcon I use kind of as a side note to say, I use it more for the higher the Torcon, the more severe weather there'll be. Not more tornadoes, more severe weather. A Torcon of 4, for me, is like saying, maybe some severe weather. Yeah, it says a 4 in 10 chance of a tornado within 25 or 50 miles of a given point for what they mean. For me, I more or less use it as probability of a severe thunderstorm. They use it as a probability of a tornado.
Yeah, saying that there's a 40% chance of a tornado, that just seems way crazy to me.
Unlike on April 27th, 2011, where they had Torcon of 10, which meant you were going to have a tornado within 150 miles, which of course in that area, which was Alabama, that happened.
Yeah, that verified.
So they're like, whoa, we verified on April 27th. Well, that's all well and good. There's several times you tried to Torcon us with 5s and 6s, and we didn't get nothing. So, yeah. Anyway, I think we should just have a Torcon of like 1, because it's like Torcon of 10 in northern Missouri, 1 in southern Iowa. Because nothing ever happens here. We don't get touchdowns. I'm going to use
Correct me if I'm wrong. Now that you say that, I remember a day, it's been quite a long time ago, and I might have brought this up on a past episode, and I'm not sure if you talked about it. But wasn't there a day when eastern Iowa and northwest Illinois was under a high risk, but the area around the Quad Cities had like a hatched area, like almost like what they would delineate for sig severe, but it said see text. Now, is that just a meme that's going around for the black hole that is our weather, or did that actually happen? I
I
want to
don't
say it
think
was in the late
so.
90s or early 2000s.
I don't think so. Not that I can ever remember something like that.
It was the only time that I remember Eastern Iowa and, well, I'll just name it for the area that I was in. It was the only time that I remember that the Quad Cities was under a high risk. And I remember reading an article in the Moline Dispatch, and the headline on the front page was Quad Cities under high risk for severe weather.
Okay. I
But
know that I know there's been high risks here. The last time we had one here was during a derecho event. It wasn't even a tornado outbreak. It was a derecho event.
this was supposed to be a tornado outbreak.
I cannot remember or recall a high risk that we've had. This would be years ago that I can.
Yeah, this was like late 90s because I think I was
Oh,
still in
great!
high
You didn't
school.
even think I could go that far. Whew.
I'm pretty sure I was still in high school then.
Oh, good
Maybe it
lord!
was early 2000s.
Then I'd really not know what it was.
But there was something out there where there was. I'm gonna have to do some digging because I just thought of it. There was a high risk around eastern Iowa and northwest Illinois, but the area surrounding in and around the Quad Cities was hatched out in black, and it said C text. Kind of like a marginal is now. But the big question was, I think, if memory serves, the question was too much wind shear.
I cannot remember anything where they put a high risk and then they cut everything out. Or are you saying that there was a C text that was in the high risk area, or there was no high risk area in the Quad Cities at all?
There were there was a C text inside the high risk area.
I don't recall anything looking like that.
I'm gonna
That's
have to.
that seems very suspicious.
It
I
might.
don't remember ever seeing a C text in a high risk. That's very odd. I'd have to. I don't know. That's bogging my mind.
I. It might be just a meme I saw on the internet.
It probably knowing how they love to put up stuff and go. I made a snide remark about, oh, there's never severe weather in Iowa. So one day we were doing there was severe weather coming one day. This was, I think, a year or two ago, and we were our group on the Weather Network. We were like waiting for the severe weather thing to pop up, and I decided to do a little snippety do. I said that the day, I think it was a day, there was like going to be severe weather on day one or two, day one and day two. So I took the day two risk. I think it was a slight risk. So I took the map, went onto Paint program, onto Microsoft Paint. I then took out the slight risk and I drew it around the Iowa border and then put it everywhere else where it was, except I took Iowa out and put them in the what is now would be the general thunderstorms or marginal risk.
Yeah.
Marginal risk. And I said that I'm like, look at what the SPC did. And everybody started laughing. Then something happened. About a year ago, SPC almost did the same thing. They took almost all of Iowa out of a slight risk. So it looked almost like they had done that. And I laughed. I went, oh my
I
God.
remember seeing that. Didn't that kind of go viral?
No, I
Or did you just
think
post it
I
up like
have
this?
that picture of what they did of not of me doing it, but I think I have a picture of SPC's thing where they almost look like they took Iowa. They didn't do it right on the border, but they kind of went around it.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna look for it while we. So let me just prepare. Okay, it's not on here, so it's probably in this folder.
Prepare internet search mode.
But it. Wait a minute. Is it that one? No. Is it that one? No. I have so many of these, and it's like I gotta figure out which ones are which. Okay, it's not. Okay, so could it be? Okay. No, no, no. Yeah, I know how it's gonna be. Oh, here it is. I knew I had it. So just a minute, I'll screen share this when I get it up. Oh, fudge! It's going to my Paint Shop Pro.
Rut road orange.
Stupid computer. But anyway, it is the one that I remember from a couple years ago. Okay, so just a minute. Let me fix this to have it. Oh no, I don't want to upgrade. Oh, wait. Jeez. Okay. Okay. Now I got it. Okay, this is not. I did not put this one in.
This is what SBC did, correct?
Yes. This was last year. I am not. I don't know if you can see it or not.
I like your name of it, SBC OMG.
Yeah. I am not kidding. I did not do this. Look at what they did. Are you serious? And then this was after I had made fun of stuff and went, ha. Then this happened. Look at this. I mean, SBC must have something. What did Iowans do to deserve What did we piss off SBC or something? I don't know. But I'm like, I had Patrick Marchand. He works at SPC. Did I piss him off? I don't know. Of course, this was back in July, and he was on in November. So anyway, but that's what that was. I knew I had it. So
I'm on the internet right now trying to find that high risk deal.
So, but while you're looking at that, I don't know if anything else, because we're probably going to have next week. We'll review what happened, because we'll probably be reviewing it.
Yep.
Unfortunately, now, what the heck is that? Okay, we'll see if we can get people on. I'm trying hard, and it's getting to be very annoying. I'm sure you're finding the same situation is difficult.
What's that?
Getting people on.
Yes.
I'm about ready to. I'm almost to the point of driving myself batty with it, but
It's okay. We'll just keep plugging away at it.
yeah, it's getting hard to keep plugging away. But anyway, so we'll see if Matthew finds it. If not, we'll end it relatively soon because we've been going almost an hour and 45 minutes.
And you thought tonight would be a short episode.
Oh yes, and I'm still cranky at Cracker Barrel, and I didn't mention that on air. If I didn't, Cracker Barrel, especially Cracker Barrel in Davenport, they are not friends with me right now. Especially, I'll just leave it at that. So, We'll see if we can't find it. You can have a whole week to look for it in between tornadoes and excitement.
I thought I found it, but I didn't.
Well, he didn't find it. Darn, we'll have to leave now.
Yep.
So,
Dang it.
and so we'll just end it here. We try to do this every Friday or Saturday, more towards Saturday now, but we'll keep plugging away at this somehow, some way, and hope to gosh we're not going to start swearing up like a sailor again. We only said a few words today that were bad, so we're doing better.
We're both did. Yeah, we're doing. I'm gonna notch that one up in the win column.
Yay, we're doing better. Anyway, so hopefully we'll see you next week where we might have more excitement to happen. We might be
recapping our own severe weather event.
Well, we'll probably recap severe weather here if we get any. We'll recap severe weather coverage from probably Oklahoma City. We'll probably find out who did bad and who did worse.
Yep.
And we're going to find out what dazzly tie Mike Morgan wore. And we're going to find out how many times David Payne actually complained that he wants to be out in the field and he's not. And we're going to find out how many times Val Castor sees a tornado and gets excited. Either that or his brother. And I think Vaughn is the better brother because I think Vaughn is the calmer brother and Val's like the crazy brother. And
yeah, they're both crazy. Chasing in Oklahoma City, that's just nuts.
Well,
uh-oh, you're getting phone called.
Okay, I'm getting interrupted. So anyway,
it's David Payne calling.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I wish. I emailed him to be on the program and he didn't respond.
Maybe he was responding.
But I did email Travis Meyer, who works at his sister station in Tulsa, and he has been on the program.
That would be cool.
I do have connections to KWTV in Oklahoma City through KOTV in Tulsa. So
maybe one day.
Well,
maybe.
We'll see. I don't know. After being interrupted, that must be time for me to say so long, farewell, whatever.
And sayonara.
So we'll see what next week has brought. So if you're a chaser, stay safe. Yay, get video. Darn, because I won't. So I have to stay at home and do stuff. But anyway, so, and poor Matthew is going to say the same thing because he has to stay at work.
I have to work, but if Chase Day comes around here on Wednesday, I'm going to really consider it.
Well, we'll see. I did when I was looking at the model on Monday or Wednesday here. I looked at the GFS. It had the temperature here on Wednesday in the 40s.
Wow.
Really? That's what
who knows? Maybe it'll be a cold core setup.
No, I just don't know. Anyway, that's what the GFS says, as if we believe that. Anyway, so we'll let you go, everybody. So thank you for joining us. So we'll talk to you next week for show number 105.
Yes, sir.
I have to make a thing for that, so we're going to do that. Hopefully, everybody likes my new graphics. Because if you don't, too bad. Now my phone is ringing. Everybody's getting a hold of me today, so we better go. That's evident I'm becoming popular. So let's go.
That's Goodbye.
Farewell. Hello. Goodbye. Whatever.
Bye.